have nothing to do with the issue. It's just the point of like trying to get his sympathy, or whatever it is that he's trying to do by adding these words. That may be an excess. They didn't have a reason to say it. Or you can say even maybe on the basic zach of the betochen, it was also questionable. In other words, he should have realized that that God is with him. Why? First of all, from the fact that he was taken down to Mitzrayim with perfume instead of with the schmutz, with bad smells. He went down with good smell. That's one thing. In Mitzrayim, he becomes, by Potiphar, he becomes all of a sudden nishmat tzliach. Everything works out great. He becomes the head of the household. He's in the base, where the police house, he's in the jail, and again he becomes the head of the jail. So he sees the Rebbeinu Shalom is with him, right? It's not that he's not suffering in any way. So why is he all of a sudden feel that it's so important to ask for what he could? Maybe that misspells whatever reason it is. He sees the Rebbeinu Shalom taking care of him. That's what should be the chayr. That's what he should have been doing. So maybe on the same thing there. Now again, how do you define betochen in very time, and when do you do tools with betochen? A lot of it is subjective. What I think I mentioned once before, that a person can test his own betochen every time he drives to a simcha in Brooklyn. He's coming to a hall and he sees a parking space three blocks away. Does he park the car, or does he say, I'll find one, it's too far to walk, I'll find one nearer? Now, at what point is nearer? And again, what made him 3 blocks away to the point where he would do it? Maybe 6 blocks away, maybe 10 blocks away, right? Each one is a degree of his betochen, of how he can get it. So if he doesn't expect much, he's not going to get much. If he expects he could get much, he didn't say it has to be. He says it could be. That's the difference. It could be. The Rebbeinu Shalom is in control of everything. If I'm coming to a place where the parking is done by people pulling in and pulling out, then there's no reason you shouldn't expect to find a parking spot right by where you are, where you have to go. If, on the other hand, it's shot everyone's coming to the same place, the question is who came first, then I understand there's a question, why would I assume that there's still a parking place empty? People who have came before also. But people who come for random reasons, is obviously he got the spot, so therefore I can get the spot too. And coming 5 minutes earlier doesn't make a milah because the guy didn't pull out in 5 minutes before, because he didn't have to leave before 5 minutes before. And now he left. So therefore, that's the way a person's supposed to live. So again, that's in the normal inyan of betochen. But once you see God's on your side and the things like that, there's a different way of how you rely on HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Okay. Anyway, you see that no matter, Vayishkachehu was not just accidentally, he forgot it, meaning he was not interested in bringing it up. That doesn't mean you forget about it. That's what mashma, you forget about it. Now, if somebody puts something out of his mind, naturally, you forget about it after a while. And the reason he did that seems to be because he was prejudiced against Yosef. Vishomi tonu na ivri eved l'sar tabochim. Where he says, so the Rashi says everything was Ganai. Nar, he's a kid. Ivri, he's a Jew. Eved, he's an Eved. But he still was able to do it. And he figured by lowering his status, I guess, in a certain extent, so even if Pare would take him up to leave because he felt he would have to give this, if he wouldn't give this thing, somehow if he'll get caught, it'll be really bad. So therefore he told him that I had this Maisa, but Paro will take it seriously or not. I'll try and make it that he doesn't take it seriously. But I had to tell it to him because then he can blame me that you didn't tell me about somebody that could have helped me. And therefore he went and he told him. Anyway, they bring him up to Pari. And it could be that the reason it says, all of a sudden, how did Taki become such an interpreter of dreams, saying by the Tabochim and Reuven and say by Pari? I mean, you see, when he was 17 years old, he didn't know how to interpret the dream. He didn't know what it meant that the Alumais were bowing to his Aluma. So then what all of a sudden it became? Maybe that's why he studied it. Because he saw that there are things in the dreams that he doesn't understand, and he has to understand them. And yet you see maybe the other brothers were the Hechemadreg as far as that they understood at least that brings one Nevuah, or could be Nevuah, whatever it is there. And that's what he's, and he by training himself and seeing where dreams are the Nevuah, taking out all the Narishkeit and everything else. And he left that in the thing that he knows where to go. Okay. Okay. Pari, he tells Pari to put up a good guy on and to be head of Mitzrayim. And the Pari says, there's nobody better than you, and he sticks him up, and everybody appreciates his thing. That also, against prejudice and against anything else, that they all accepted it was a great zach. Okay. Okay. And he gives him Oslas Bas Pestifera Koinoin. This is where the Rabbeinu Shalom sticks the Chivi into Klal Yisrael. Going to the Medrash anyway, that Osnas is the daughter of Leah, of the Dinah from Shem, and therefore she was thrown out of Yaakov's house, but she went down with the Kameya and whatever it is there, and this is, and she's still what he called alive, and he gets her, and now she enters into Klal Yisrael, and we'll talk about in Vayechi over there how he didn't he lost Ruach HaKodesh by when he wanted to bless Efraim and Asher. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so now the hunger year started, and obviously the Rebbeinu made sure that there will be no other food around except Yosef's, and everybody's going to require Yosef's food, and therefore all the food of the Mitzrayim, whatever they tried, didn't work, and all their food rotted, and only the stuff that Yosef put away, but he put away so much that it's going to last for 7 years. Okay. Yankee, for whatever reason, Pashta says you shouldn't look different than others. You shouldn't show that you have more or you don't, and you don't. You have to live a normal life, and the same thing. So therefore, there's an Indian that they have to do something. Where do we see something like that in the original? There's two types of people living. You find, it says over here, that when was Efraim and Asher born? They were born before he went down to Mitzrayim, right? Before the hunger years came, he had 2 children. Right? That means, and Rashi says, because you're not allowed to live with your wife when there's a hunger year. In other words, especially not allowed to live with, he doesn't say especially. He says you're not allowed to live, right. Kavakasha, we know when was Yocheved born. She was born when they went down when they were entering Mitzrayim. That's when she was born. So she was there for only 69 people went down. And you find by names, when it says 70 people went down to Mitzrayim, it says only 69 names. But Yocheved was born by Shmuel. She was born on the way down. So that means Levi did live with his wife. He just told me, Yosef told me, you're not allowed to live with your wife. And Yosef did, and Levi did live with your wife. The pshat is, it's not that you're not allowed to live with your wife when there's hunger years. You're allowed to live with your wife in your hunger years. But you're not allowed to live with your wife where it can be misinterpreted. Where people will say, you see, Yosef, he's not scared of having children. You know why? Because he's the king, and he has a lot of food. And he doesn't have to worry. But us poor people, we got to worry. We have to suffer. We have to this. That you can't make that kind of anger against yourself, against that jealousy against yourself. You can't do that. But Levi, he was a Tamavata guy, a regular guy. He was in there. That's Levi, big deal. Levi's one of those flummies. He believes in God. What can you do? Nobody would criticize it in the point of saying, he's betached in his money, and therefore he's allowed to do it. Okay. Ya'akov now says you have to not act normally, so he sells. They're selling food in Mitzrayim, even though they were not suffering. But you go down and buy food in Mitzrayim, people will think that we're normal, that we don't have food either, and that they shouldn't be choshed us or attack us or whatever it is there. Okay. And so it says, Vayovoyu achi Yosef v'shtachu le'apayim. Also they came, Vayah Yosef v'sechov, Yosef saw his brothers, Vayakirem, and he recognized them. Vayisnak aleim, Edabitim koshes, he spoke bad, tough words to them. He called them Meraglim. He asked where they came from. So Vayakir, and it says again, Vayakir Yosef v'sechov, v'heim lo yikiru. Same lashon it said in the pasuk before, pasuk ches and pasuk zayin. Yeah. As it says, so Rashi brings down two lashonos. What normal says, that Yosef is before Yosef, when he left, didn't have a beard yet, and now he had a beard, and especially dressed in the Egyptian clothing and the beard, an Egyptian type of beard, and whatever it is there, and they don't recognize him. They weren't looking too close either to see if he looks like Yosef or not. On the other hand, he knew who they were because he recognized some of the brothers. He couldn't say he recognized all of his brothers because we made a cheshbon that he was only about 3 months younger than Zvulun. So if he's 3 months younger than Zvulun, he probably also Zvulun didn't have a beard either. So how come he recognized Zvulun? So he probably figured there are 10 guys there, and the 7 of them I recognize, 3 of them I don't, but I figured that the other 3 that don't have beards yet, when the thing there, so they're the 10s hanging out with him. And Binyamin is probably not there. Or maybe he didn't know yet about Binyamin not being there until after speaking to them, that none of them were Binyamin. That I can't answer you. Okay? And the Nedosh Agoda says that he treated them like brothers and they didn't treat him like a brother. Now, I don't know, I've just read the psukim here, and it seems he treated them pretty badly. Right? He spoke to put him out there. And why does it put over here, Vayasker Yaakov is a chalomis? Why do you remember the chalomis over here? What brought him up? That means till now he forgot him. So what made him remember them? I think it means this. And I want to use both pshatim to explain both times why it says the psukim. The first time he says he recognized his brothers and they didn't recognize him because they didn't look like, they looked the same and he didn't look the same. Okay, that's why he recognized them, they didn't recognize him. And he wanted to do bad to them, but he couldn't. He didn't get that pleasure. He felt that revenge, now I got them. It didn't work. I don't feel that pleasure, I don't feel that anger in me to do it. Therefore, but they wanted to kill him, and they did action ice on him. He was in thought originally, but he saw it didn't work. And that's what made him think again. Now he remembered the dream. Oh, what was that dream? That dream was that the bundles bowed to my bundles. Why did it talk about the bundles buying? Why didn't they bow to me? We were all there. It says we were all binding bundles in the field. And then your bundles all bowed to my bundle. Why didn't you say you bowed to me? Because I'm not king over them. I'm not king over them, so what was my purpose? My purpose was food. This is it. This is what my purpose. My purpose was to supply them with food. And that's why food was the mushal in the dream. Okay. So now, what's he trying to do? The story that a lot of people talk about, let's see, how is he going to treat Binyamin? How are they going to treat Binyamin? And, it doesn't make sense. Binyamin they loved, and Yosef they hated. What's the guy? Yosef was a squealer. Yosef was a guy who they thought was trying to get away with it, and their father loved him more than anything else. Whatever it is there. Yosef they didn't like. Binyamin on the other hand, is a sweet fella, sweet kid. Why shouldn't they like him? Why should they treat him badly? Why do they even have a chavamina? That we'll see from how they treat Binyamin, that's how I know that they're going to treat me. It doesn't prove anything. Obviously, he felt that he wanted to forgive them. Obviously, he saw that he can't get that anger up. He doesn't feel that anger or that hatred that he should have felt. If that's the case, then I really want to forgive them. But I don't want to forgive them. I can't forgive them because they wanted to do me bad. I can't forgive them. We spoke about, I think before Rosh Hashanah at the time, we spoke about Yom Kippur, about the union of Slicha Mechila, that the maximum he's able to get up, if he was able to get up to it, maybe at this point he didn't even know if he could do Mechila, is Mechila. That words, I don't want you punished, but I don't forgive you. I still think you did a bad thing to me, and whatever it is there, but I'm willing to live with you. I'm willing to forget about it, if I'm able to. And he felt that needed for Klal Yisrael needs a mechila. And I think because this thing that he needed, this mechila that he's trying to get, and he can't do it by itself unless they feel some kind of remorse for what they did, he doesn't feel he can forgive them. And it's possible that we will see that there's 4 times that he cries, One time he cries simply when Binyamin shows up in his Vayichmu Rab Rachmov, when he saw his brother, and all of a sudden he became emotional when he started to cry. The other 3 times it doesn't say that. It says it once when he's going to take Shimon from them. I mean, when he brings out Shimon to send them back. We'll see in a few minutes. That thing, that's one time he cried. The second time he cried was when he identified himself to his brothers. And the third time he cried is when the brothers came down and they told him, your father, when they came back from burying Yaakov Avinu, they said, your father said that you should forgive us, or whatever it is there. Why did he cry those 3 times? And why is the point of the Torah telling it to me? Only because this is the point. He was looking to be able to be mochel them. And every time they got to an hakara that they did something wrong, but they didn't hit the point that he was not guilty. That part they didn't hit. Then he started to cry, so close but so far. I can't get it, I can't do it yet. And in the end, the Bein Bechai says in Vayechi that the reason that all the tzoros between the Shvotim and everybody else was Yosef was because he never forgave his brothers. Never would mochel them. Okay. So now he's putting himself in a very precarious situation. He's going to shepherd the brothers. Now, knowingly, he's not angry at them. It's not what he called it to them. But now it's doing it with kavaneh to irritate them or to get them to realize what they did. Whatever point he's trying to bring out for them. But he's also putting himself in a very bad situation, because later on he's got to wonder, what would the Egyptians think? Here these guys come down, he throws them in jail, he's willing to kill them, he's willing to do whatever it is to them, and then he says, these are my brothers. You don't even recognize your brothers? You don't know your brothers? Well, he said, of course, how do I know my brother? I didn't see him in a long time. Yeah, but you don't know your brother? So that Kashi he won't be able to answer, no matter what. Whether he answered them or not, that I don't know. You don't find that they did. Maybe they were so happy to get more people down there, more Jews down there for sure. Okay. Anyway, he tells them first he's going to take away all of them, send one guy down, and that itself he shows by the time 3 days are over, he changed his mind already. Tony keeping one and the rest sending home, whatever it is. Yeah. Okay. Now, I don't know if this is the same Ish Elochiv that's talking about in Parshas Vayeshev. Vayeshev, Rashi says, who's Ish Elochiv? Shimon and Levi. So here also could be Shimon and Levi. And again, Reuven tells him over there. I told you, what was the psukim over there in Vayeshev? It's Vayemu Ish El Ochiv, before he came, Vayemu Ish El Ochiv, Hine Balachaleim is Halozeba, Ish El Ochiv, V'atul Chuvan Al Geyu, and Vayem Alem Sheru, Vayishma Reuven Vayatzilem Yoda, Vayem Alem Nakerim Nofesh. So you have again Reuven and the two of them talking, and I think there. And here we get the same thing. They were all he brought him before all the brothers. And they're wondering why we're in jail. In other words, we should have had pity. It was our brother talking to us. He was begging us. How did we not have pity? So it's interesting to see from here that at a time that pity has a cheshbon in Dinyan Nefoshes too. It's not such, when a guy is cold, meaning that I don't care if I kill somebody, then I can't kill somebody because I'm too cold. I have to love the guy. I have to want him, the thing Dalton, and say, but I got to. The din says so. But not that, whoa, this guy, throw him out of here, kill him, who cares? Right? That's not a thing that you're supposed to do. We should have felt that pity. And Reuven says to them, I told you don't kill. And I guess that was the same conversation that we're talking about. So then Ish Elochiv over here means Shimon Levi. Later on, next page, this page rather, yeah. It says, Vayisu Eshivu Machamoreim, Vayiftach Va'echod Esake. Rashi says, what's Va'echod mean? The one, that means he took away Shimon, so therefore Levi, who was alone, who was the one, right? He's the one that found the money in the sack. Vayemer Elechov, he told him that I've got my money back. Vayetze Libom, Vayecheldu, Ish Elochiv, Lemo, each to his brother. So Ish Elochiv, again the same Loshen, Ish Elochiv. But here that can't mean Shimon, because Shimon's in jail. So obviously this Loshen doesn't mean. Maybe it's only when Vayemru Ish Elochiv, when one spoke to the other. Here was a point more of fear, that they all had the same emotion. And over there was a point of having a discussion. I can't answer you. But it'll make quite good sense that it's Shimon and Levi talking. And we should have had pity. And Reuven tells him, you should have realized he's not even Chayiv Misa. That he was truly seeking advice. That he was not trying to rub us into us. He wasn't trying to show us that he was going to be the king or whatever it is there. He just didn't understand what the dream is all about. And we see to a certain extent, which exactly how Reuven knew this I don't know, that Reuven knew definitely the dream was a nevuah, because one of the reasons it's brought down that why did Reuven save him? Because since he's by counting him in the brothers, that all the brothers were binding the bundles, that means he's still one of the brothers, that means God forgave him. And God forgave him, he's makir toiv to Yosef, that he notified him that God forgave him, and therefore he tried to save him. What are you talking about? What else should Yosef know? Yosef didn't know anything about God forgiving me or not. He didn't know anything. As far as he's concerned, Yosef, he didn't know that Reuven is the one that did it. So therefore, Reuven is automatically part of the brothers. Why shouldn't he be included? So obviously, Reuven deduced somehow from the situation that it's a nevuah that Yosef is telling them. Therefore, if it's a nevuah, then he's not Chayiv Misa. Even though he says the worst things about us, it's not Chayiv Misa. You find the same thing by Rav Hasheni when, who was his name? Forgot the name, the Avodah Zorah, Galach sent him that Micha was revolting. Not was Micha? No, Chagai was revolting against them. He told him, Chas v'chalila, Chagai would not have said a terrible thing like this. And if Chagai did say it, he only said it because it was a nevuah to him to say it, and it was bad about Yerovam. So therefore, he should have been angry. He should have been, no, I'm not angry. If it's God saying it, there's nothing to be angry about. God is doing it. It's a nevuah. There's nothing to be angry about. We've got to figure out what it means. We've got to figure out what to do about it. We've got to figure out a reason why it's happening. But it's not a thing that we ever feel bad about, because that's a nevuah. Okay, so anyway, he says that Nidrosh goes on Yankiv Avinu. That means there are side effects that are going to be affected here, that Yankiv is going to be very upset, and he's going to get older, and he's going to get sick because of this, we're also going to have to pay for. You don't only pay for Yosef, we got to pay for Yaakov too. Okay, he puts the thing there and they all get. Now, what happened with this fear? Why all of a sudden they got so feared? He felt the anger, and they did not bother looking in their book, in the things. Right? Right? And he told them how tough they spoke, the man spoke to them. And then they say, they were emptying out their bags over there. They find their money in their bags. They and their father saw it, and they became frightened. Okay, what's shot in that? Why are you getting frightened? Like, Kai says, you found money, you should be thankful for it. Baruch Hashem, God gave me money. It's a wonderful thing. We who don't know ourselves, we don't know our good deeds, we don't know our bad deeds. And therefore, if we find something, we think we deserve it, or we think, Afal Pikein, God gave it to us. And bad things happen, either we deserve it, or God did it, whatever reasons. Okay, we go through. The Shiftei Kor knew exactly what they did and what they deserve. And if they say, we don't deserve a gift, then we have a question, why is God giving us the money? It must be He's paying us off. This is it, guys. You're finished. Now I don't owe you anything anymore. And that's what they were frightened. So first Levi did it. He found the gunny, and they all got frightened because of Levi. Now either we do no more Shiftei Kor. Now we're supposed to be 12 brothers. There'll only be 11. Levi's out. Okay, I don't know. And then they finally come to Yaakov, and they're all unpacking, and they see it's not only one guy that's the problem. The problem is God has a time on all of them. They all got their money back. They don't deserve they're getting their money back. They didn't see they did anything that deserves to getting the money back. So why are they getting the money back? That's the time. And that's the... okay. So Yaakov is saying, you caused me a lot of trouble over there. And Reuven pops up. And he says, kill my 2 kids if I don't bring the kid back. And Rashi uses a lashon tipish. I don't think he means that. It means it says that the words don't mean anything because they're not real. You're going to kill my kid, you're going to kill your kids, and therefore I'm going to feel better about it. That's a guarantee to me. What kind of guarantee it is? I'm not going to let you kill my kids. They're my grandkids. I'm not going to let you kill them. Elavos, I'm saying, as if my kids' lives depend on it, I'm going to bring it back. As if my kids' lives depend on it, that's not a guarantee. So therefore he says, I don't take your guarantee. It doesn't mean anything to me. You're not guaranteeing me anything. You can't do it. So therefore it has nothing to do with anything. Okay, but you see he pops up right away. That you see. As soon as they come back, as soon as Yaakov makes a statement, I'm not sending Beniman, he pops up, I guarantee, and he gets knocked down right away. Again, why? Because Reuven has that problem of being, solution, Pesach HaMayim, that your water, you flow, you react immediately. And That was what caused you the trouble of making the beds, of trading the beds, because you didn't think before you acted. And here also you're not thinking. You're not trying to devise that it'll be a good guarantee for me. And therefore, since that's not what you're doing, you're still in the same problem. You're pachas kamayim. The Rambam says a pachas kamayim is, or any midah law, or could be raw. Midah is not necessarily raw. Midah is something that's used for good and bad. But if you have to get to the middle. You can't be in one extreme. You want to be a cheapskate. If you're a cheapskate, and you have to go to the other extreme and become a spendthrift. If you're a spendthrift, you have to go to the other extreme and become a cheapskate. And then after you become a cheapskate or a spendthrift, you move slowly back towards the middle. That's the way you're supposed to be. So right now, Reuven is still the Pachas Kamayim. It's only 17 years later. He's still jumping in wherever he is without fully thinking through the points. By the time they get to Moshe Rabbeinu in Parshas Matis, so it tells you a very interesting thing over there. Mikne Rab, where is it, Loshen? Mikne Rab hoyel b'nei Reuven le'Gad. B'nei Reuven and b'nei Gad had a lot of sheep. Who comes first? Reuven comes first. It's the older Shevet, the older brother. Right? Then it says, Vayevoyu b'nei Gad u'b'nei Reuven vayemu Moshe. The b'nei Gad and the b'nei Reuven came to Moshe and told him that they would like to be here and settle here. It should be Reuven and b'nei Gad again. B'nei Reuven, b'nei Gad. No, it's b'nei Gad, b'nei Reuven. Reuven says, I'm not saying a word. I don't know if it's right or wrong what we're doing. We're behind you. You go, we'll be behind you, standing next to you, but we're not talking. And that's what they did. And only Reuven. It got so bad with Reuven to the extent that the Vashiras Devara says, Gedoyle chikike leiv. They can't make a decision. They're that bad, they are, Reuven. Should they go to war? Shouldn't they go to war? They can't make a decision. Gedoyle chikike leiv. So that's the extreme, going to the other extreme. I assume that right after that they started going back towards the middle, and you don't find any other stories, as far as I know, that shows indecision on the part of Reuven. But in these two things we see it, so we're seeing that follows with the Rambam's Eitzah. Okay. Anyway, the end of the thing, the Rav gets worse, and he says again, I want you to go buy food. And here already he doesn't jump up anymore. We were knocked down. He can't go. He doesn't have another guarantee to give, what he called. But Yehuda does say something. And I want to tell you, I said it from before, I don't know if I mentioned it or not, that Yehuda was really a Talmud of Reuven. In other words, every brother was learned a little more longer by Yaakov Avinu than the others because he was older. He heard what they had to say, and plus that he's alone with Yaakov for at least a year, 10 months, whatever it is there. So therefore, he knows more than the rest. So he was Yehuda. He was Yehuda's Rebbe, or Yehuda considered him as Rebbe. Therefore, whenever he heard him say something, he would make sure that it happened. So when he heard that Reuven said, don't kill him, right? Put him in the burr, Reuven's idea was to come and save him later. Yehuda doesn't know this. But now, Reuven is not there. Reuven went back to be Isaac B'Tainisai, or whatever we said he was Isaac from, he went back to serve his father. But he's not there. And the other brothers are getting a little itchy. Let's kill him. Let's kill him. And he saw the Orchis Yishmaelim coming down, says, let's sell him, Mabetza. Because he knew the Rebbe said, don't kill him. He didn't say save him. He said, don't kill him. I'm not going to make sure that he doesn't get killed. And that was what Yehuda did, and he did it quite smartly, and it worked, but he got into trouble because of it. Here also, Yehuda heard Reuven feeling that we should take Binyamin down. Right? And the question is how to do it. Obviously, he's a Pachas Kamayim. He jumped into the thing right away. And Yaakov was not listening. Yehuda, that's the kech maybe of a melech. A melech has patience. He also knows who's smarter than him, who's what he called, knows who to listen to. And that's what he says. It doesn't have to be the smartest person. The president doesn't have to be the president person. His secretaries have to be the smartest people in their fields. But the president, he has to only know who to appoint. Okay. So here, he waited his time until Yaakov needed the food. And now we can say to Yaakov, we can't go. If you'll give us the kid, we'll go. But we can't go without the kid. But he also sees that Yaakov is not happy. Maybe Yaakov will give in. He asked the first, why'd you tell me I have a brother? And he says, what do you mean? They asked us, what will you say? Couldn't say anything, right? We didn't say, Yom Yehuda Yisrael Aviv, Shulchan Nariti v'Kanakum v'Nelecha v'Nichi v'Loilamos v'Anachnu Gamato Gamatpenu Anoichi Ervenu Meyodi Tivakshenu. I guarantee him with my life, Im Levi Yisrael V'Elech V'Tak V'Nech V'Chotosicho Kol Hayomim. I give up my Olam Haba. And when a person makes a neder or a shvua with even al a tanai, or it says bad on even with a tanai, and even MiKaitz the tanai, it doesn't make a difference. The bad will happen. That happened by Achitefel, and that's what happened over here. And therefore, Yehuda loses his Olam Haba until Moshe Rabbeinu in Parshas Sabracha is mispalul for him to come back into what he called, because of what that he caused Reuven to be murdered. And that thing. But until then, Yehuda was out. How many years that was, you can figure it out, but whatever that means. Okay. So now he tells him, okay, now once he's calm, I'm not in a good mood. I don't approve of what's happening, but I have no choice. I'm a kabul, and now we got to figure out the best way to do it. And he tells him, we have to end up a gift. We have to do this right. We have to do it right. Okay. And they came to Mitzrayim, and they have him with them, and Yosef took up, what do you call it, first of all, he's inviting them to supper, and he takes up a Shimon over there, also in the thing over there. Yeah. But he didn't speak to them at this time yet. Like, it must have been like, saw out the window that they're there. And he sent down his people to speak to them, because later on, it's mashma, he first meets him, and he speaks to him because he says, I mean, you saw him before, it says. So why all of a sudden you're saying it to him? Because before I saw him, I didn't speak to you. I just saw that Binyamin was with you. So I knew, and somehow I disappeared at that time. But I told the guy after him how to treat you. Okay. And there it says, they wanted to cry. So therefore it's simply an emotional thing. It has nothing to do with the feeling of tzartak. It was simply emotional. So his brother. Okay. And again he asks about Yaakov Avinu and everything else is fine. Then it says, Vayusim aloi levadai, they gave food for him alone, v'lahem levadam, and for the Jews alone, v'mitzrim oichem ita levadam, and also with the mitzrim, ki lo yuchlun hamitzrim lechol es ivrim lechol ki ze'evei il mitzrayim. And this is the yisoid of how to live in Golus. We are always to make ourselves feel inferior to the Goyim, that the Goyim should feel are inferior. This is not only this time, we're going to see it a few times. We're going to see it when he tells him to tell the Parai that you are the shepherds, because he have asked Mitzrayim Kolei Boker. In other words, don't try to join into the elite of the country that you're part of, because they have no, their ends are not your ends. It's a different thing. And the same thing goes for whatever country we're in. We have to have a shtadlon, maybe. You have to have somebody that's able to deal with them. And we had shtadlonis throughout the Doros, and then people that were close to the government, or go to the bishops, or the Pope, things like that. That was only to save Klal Yisrael, but they weren't interested in joining the society. So therefore, the easiest way of doing that is to make yourself be an inferior person, meaning that the Mitzrayim should think that you're inferior. Ki se'avas Mitzrayim in the Mitzrayim to eat with the Jews' bread or food. Why? Because the Jews ate meat, and Mitzrayim didn't eat meat. So therefore you're a barbarian, and we don't eat with barbarians. So they ate separately. But on the same token, Yosef couldn't eat with them, because then they would be shown that he's not a Mitzri that doesn't eat with the people there. So he has to show he's hiding the fact that he's eating meat or whatever he's eating. So therefore it's he alone, they alone, and the Mitzrayim alone. Okay. And whatever, they got drunk with him because the first time they drank, whatever it is. And then he tells them, I want you to give them back their money, their food, give them all the food they can carry. But I want you to plant, I'm sorry. It says also that he sat them down, and then they were always wondering how he knew who was older. Now, you can say, well, what's a big kasha? One guy's 6 feet tall, he looks older than the other guy, so you think he's older. So when you think. But obviously, we're talking, like I say, you're talking with Zvulun, you're talking with Yisachar, it could be whatever it is, there were all the ones that were almost the same age, Dan and Yehuda. So I'm saying whatever the guys are, to be able to make those cheshbon, because the reason they're so near some of them, because we said we had to squeeze all 11 sons in 6 years. So therefore, how do you have 11 young born in 6 years? Even though they're from 4 women, but they still overlap. The question is overlapping. They were pregnant, and the months are not that many months between the difference between the two. So to know, is that some people look a little older, look a little younger. You know, you say guys 15, 16, 17, right, like that. But the guy is 15 in 3 months and 15 in 5 months. You're not going to say, oh, he's this, he's that. It's hard. So therefore, they were wondering how he's able to know it. So the Geviyah, the Becher that he claimed to be teaching him what's happening over here, this is what he planted to hide in Binyamin's bag. Okay. Anyway, they leave the town. You're supposed to go to daytime, and they go out, and meanwhile they chase after them, and they catch him, and they make up, so they're accusing him that the guy you're going to find the thing, right? Yeah. So they said to him, why are you saying this to us? We would never do such a thing. We prove it to you. We brought you back the original money, which you could never prove that we got it back, right? And the thing over there, you may have known if you put it there, you would know that we got it back. But if you accused us, you couldn't punish us for it because you couldn't prove it. Because we spent it already, whatever it is. And since we brought that money back, extra money for that, so why would we steal new money from you? That was one of the things there. So therefore, what do we propose? The one that we find the baby by, you kill him because it's impossible. So therefore, we can even tell you this, and the rest of us will be avoidant to you. And he sounds kenhu. Rashi says kein hadin. That is the law. Is that the law? Is the law that 10 guys in a chabura, that one guy steals, we punish all 10 of them? We have such a law like that? He says, no, but that's what the law should be. Why should it be that way? Because if you could be friends with a ganef, that means you don't think Geneva is a bad thing. And I showed it by different mice, it didn't make a difference. Guy once was accused of znus with someone else's wife, and they elderly married. They moved out of the neighborhood, and they became the president of a shul. Yeah. In fact, over there they accused you there, big deal. Right? If you can, would you be friends with Eichel Treifis? Probably less of a chance to be friends with Eichel Treifis. Would you be friends with Mechali Shabbos? Probably not. Would you be friends with people that cheat in business? Oh yeah. And maybe with Mechali Shabbos too. Oh yeah. And Treifis. But intermarriage? Oh no, those I stay away from. Oh this. No, it's where do you draw the line? So obviously it goes according to what you feel is bad or good. If that's the case, if you guys are part of the group and you don't realize that one of the 10 of you are a crook and stuff like that, that means you condone each other's actions. And you don't feel he's a bad guy, Binyamin, and stuff like that, so you also deserve to be punished. Because one of you was a crook and you treat him like a brother, like there's nothing there. So that's the thing though. But that's not the law of the people. We don't punish everybody because we do have that feeling of such social need or whatever you want to call it. Rashi brings down that this Kal V'chemer that he said is one of the 10 Kal V'chemers that the Torah brings down. And so what do you mean Kal V'chemer? Kal V'chemer means true, right? So I don't remember, I heard this from my Yedim, Eisenberg, that it's in a Sefer, I don't remember what Sefer he quoted, that's what I'm saying. That here's this kasha, that l'chayre, if it's a Demes Kal V'chemer, so how come they found the Gevia in Binyamin's sack? It should have been an Amkam, it's impossible to find it there. Good, he didn't put it in, somebody else put it in. But Lamai says the Kal V'chemer is the Kal V'chemer, it means it can't happen. So why did the Mitzrayim not accept the Kal V'chemer? You know, they didn't know it was actually going to be in this thing or not. They assumed they stole it. So the guy says, this is what it means. Vayimai ve'yiridu ish es bam tachtoi also, ve'yiftechu ish am tachtoi, ve'yechapesh bagodol heichel u'bakoten kilo. They started with the big one, ended with the little one. So we touch it up to mean they went through all 10 like that, right? Started with the biggest, or 11. Started with the big, because Reuven was there too. Started with all of them and ended up with Binyamin at the end. No. Says the 9, it's a Kal V'chemer only for 9 of them. Why? Because those are the ones that came back and forth. Shimon didn't go back and forth with them. Binyamin didn't go back and forth with them. So the Kal V'chemer doesn't apply to Shimon and Binyamin. So therefore, Bakotel Heichel, that means with Shimon, and Bakotel his, they finished with Binyamin. And the thing goes. I say, but I don't remember who says it. So, and then they found it and they told me. But on the other hand, and they wrote Kriya, and all of a sudden Yehuda pops up, and God finds Avon. He says, Vayim Yehuda manayman ladoini manedaber manestadok elokim tzotzes Avon avadecha. You know, Avodim avadoini, Manachnu gam asher nimtzi agvi biyodei. And you can't kill him. In other words, something's wrong. And we know, Taka, from Kabbalah, there was 4 people that never chayte, and one of them is Binyamin. So if Binyamin was never chayte in anything,